Good evening and welcome to the Auto Club Speedway for our regular season finale live on the KBueno Racing Network for the season 1 of the KBueno Racing Truck Series. And I am excited alongside of Nate Polite to bring you the action here from South California. This racetrack has been known to some many intense races in the real life series as well as iRacing. Even though it no longer will be providing races to us on the real life side of things, it still lives with us here where we get to bring you the playoff cut line battle and the regular season championship battle live on this Monday evening. Nate, it's been a relatively quick season for us to get up until this point, and just like that, we're already getting ready to talk about the playoffs here after this week. But tonight, it's the final opportunity for a couple of drivers to make some key points in these next couple of laps in tonight's race.
Yeah, it's a beautiful night in virtual Southern California, not South California, Southern California, a little slice of home for me, if you will. But absolutely, this playoff battle, the cut line is coming right down to this, the 10th race of the regular season. And while the regular season championship is separated by 4 points, that's Justin Rott and Duncan Faw, that's really for bragging rights. It doesn't have a lot of bearing on the playoffs themselves. Where the attention's really going to be is right there on the cut line. AJ Green and Mikey Neal separated by 2 points. That's the spot that we're looking at. Craig Parks is 11 points back. He's got an outside chance of this. Everyone else is out by almost 20 points or more. It's going to be they're going to need a lot of help in this one.
Well, they're going to need a lot of help to get in there. And you see there on your screen the schedule of what tracks have led us up until this point and what we have remaining. We have an off week next time around, and then we'll be back 2 weeks away from playoff action starting at the Chicagoland Speedway, where we'll begin our 5 race stretch to determine the champion. All our 10 playoff drivers will start on equal footing, all at 2,000 points. So no one has an advantage going into that, no matter what you've done in the regular season. So it'll be interesting to see just who is able to get out in front of them. But just taking an overall look here at the points here, we have the standings there. Just Justin Rott 4 points ahead of Duncan Fall. Those two are really in the main battle. As looks like Micah and Jurg probably a little bit too far out of it. Drivers, I would say, from Benson, Haley, and Moreno, as long as they get enough trucks here to join them tonight, they probably are locked in just by starting the event. So you're really looking at AJ Green, Mikey Neals, the main battle, possibly Craig Parks and Lance Slugger, but they're going to need a lot of help if they want to get in. All eyes will be focused on that 75 and that number 8 machine.
That 75 of AJ Green, he has been on a heater the last couple of weeks. He was close to winning at Rockingham, then went and won at Pocono. He was fast last week before the crash took him out at Darlington. It's been it's been a really hot streak for AJ Green, and Mikey Neal, can't forget, he won earlier this season at Charlotte.
He did get a win, and so did AJ Green. Both of those drivers have gone to victory lane this season, and we'll have an opportunity here before qualifying to talk to one of those drivers that has gone to victory lane this season, and that is AJ Green. And AJ, that win at Pocono while Mikey struggled to finish even the first handful of laps in the race really propelled you forward in that battle to make this playoff. So as you enter the night, I would say +2 on the cut line. What are the things you're looking to doing here to try and secure that playoff spot?
Um, we'll run top five. That is for sure. I've yet to practice, but I think I'll be fine in qualifying. But just run up front, stay up front, and stay out of trouble.
It's going to be a tough 80 laps for you to battle here from the Auto Club Speedway, AJ. We saw you do it this past week over on the 4 Wide Racing Series. Was there anything you learned about that racetrack that you could apply to here as qualifying will begin in momentarily?
Um, the draft is going to be important. Finding clean air is going to be important. Uh, the truck is a lot more aero sensitive if you get damage. So, try to keep the truck clean, and you should do good.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, AJ. It's a tight gap between yourself and Mikey Neal for this final point spot. Good luck in this race tonight.
Thank you.
That's AJ Green looking to try and capture a playoff berth in this season 1 playoffs. Nate, you hear it there. It's going to be very challenging for the trucks out there on the racetrack, but nonetheless, it's going to be a tough one for everybody to have to deal with because I'm pretty sure you've seen a couple of night races here at Auto Club. it could really be a lot of challenge, especially when you consider the greater effect of the draft, and it's going to be probably some pack racing we could expect.
Absolutely, it's a big track. It's a 2 mile racetrack, Arenado Club Speedway. So the draft certainly gets much more of an effect as we've seen and than we've seen in recent races. Probably similar to the front straightaway at Pocono is the closest we've seen recently, but certainly more than Darlington. Absolutely more than Knoxville. So it is a much different track than where we've been. It's kind of back to a standard intermediate after a stretch of really strange tracks that we've gone to.
Back to the norm, if you will, here for us here on the KBueno Racing Network. Let's quickly take a bit of a preview here of the racetrack we have in store for you tonight, which is the Auto Club Speedway, located just outside of the greater Los Angeles city metro area. And there it is on Fontana. And unfortunately for a lot of fans that grew to like this racetrack in the later years, Nate, this track no longer a part of us. They were going to tear it down to make way for a short track. Looks like those plans kind of folded through, but it lives on with us in the sim, and we're still able to appreciate it very much for many years to come.
And I'm so glad it lives on in the sim. Really, it was one of my favorite tracks to watch racing at every year, and for good reason. Number one, you got different variations of banking. 14 degrees in the turns, 11 degrees on the front stretch, 3 on the back stretch. It allowed for racing all across the racetrack. It was an old, abrasive, worn-out surface, and something that you notice, it is bumpy. Those trucks are bouncing around, especially down the back stretch heading off to turn 3.
It's going to be extremely bumpy, and those are things we're going to be talking about throughout the evening in terms of how these drivers are able to handle those bumps and how it affects the handling on their race trucks. It's not going to be easy, but they're going to try and do the best that they can to hold it underneath them and make do with what they can. Drivers currently qualifying, but one who's able to currently reach with us according to himself as he's trying to complete one of his laps, but he gave us the green light to go ahead and talk to him, is the other side of the story with Mikey Neal. And Mikey, we talked to AJ already about his situation with the playoffs. You're entering on the negative side of the cut line, and for those who maybe have been living under a rock, it's been a rocky 2 weeks for you, coming off of Pocono with a tough ending to that race that saw AJ Green go to victory lane, and what nearly looked like was going to be the same situation at Darlington on that would end up being final restart. You drove your way all the way up from outside the top 15 to finishing inside the top 5 in those green flag conditions. Talk about what the last 2 weeks have been like for you and what is the goal here tonight.
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy up and down season. I missed 2 races, I believe. So, I think that's kind of really put me in this position. But, things happen and you can't really worry about that. But other than that, I felt pretty solid this season here in the trucks. And, moving on past, the last 2 races, I've had some really solid runs beforehand, and Pocono was just kind of a disaster that I didn't really have a chance to rebound from, or even have a chance to really compete in. But last week at Darlington, had the long run speed on the last run, and I think that's going to be my strategy here. I don't see myself being really really quick here tonight, just because I'm on a different wheel than I'm usually on. I'm in a different place, so I don't have any of the same stuff that I'm used to. I'm using a wheel that I used like 3 years ago, and so we're gonna see how this works out tonight. But the name of the game tonight is just to try to stay in front of the 75 truck by a few positions, because there's going to be a few extra bonus points given out tonight. So, you got to try to snag those bonus points. But ultimately, if we get a longer run tonight, I think that's probably going to be my best chance to gain some positions on that 75 truck. And, there's a few other people I'm pretty sure that are also still kind of in that same position where I don't really remember what the exact points are. I just know that AJ and I are the closest to. So, I just know that, at most, I just need to beat that 75 truck tonight, and I'm excited. I think it's going to be a really really fun race. I think we're going to race. I think it's going to be a really really fun race overall, and I'm just excited to see who comes out with it.
It's going to be really fun to watch this battle between yourself, AJ Green, and the others if they're able to mount enough of a charge there by the time the checkered flag waves. Thank you for joining us here, Mikey. We'll let you get ready here for for the race gridding here. Congratulations and good luck on tonight.
Yep, y'all have a good night and enjoy, everyone.
As Mikey Neal, driver of the number 8 machine, looking to try and make it to the playoffs. And to quickly mention our tiebreaker situations, because that is a real possibility that we could face ourselves with here tonight. With not just those two, but with anybody else, in case the points really get to that measure, Nate. And according to Keelan Belsha, our tiebreaker situation is going to be that it'll be first off of wins. They both have one win, so unless someone else wins, that's probably going to go on to the numbers to the second one, which will be average finish. They're both pretty close there, but within 3/10 of an average finish. So the exact finish tonight could play a role in that average finish. Laps led during the regular season would be the next layer of determinant there, followed by the number of top 5 finishes. And I doubt we'll get to this extremity, but according to Keelan, if they somehow make it past through those 4 layers, we'll just have to go to an 11-man chase, kind of like 2013. But I don't think it'll get that far.
It would be pretty surprising if it got that far, for sure.
And as drivers are getting ready to go out onto the racetrack and start gridding for tonight's race, let's bring to you the starting grid for the showing here from Auto Club for our final race of the regular season. And on the pole, how about this one, Nate? It is going to be Alexander Schumacher rolling off from the front of the field with an excellent 40.873, alongside Nicholas Bauman in the number 88 machine, looking to try and cap off a decent regular season for him. On that second row, it's going to be Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who, after that tough run at Darlington and tough run at Pocono, he was just able to manage enough points to clinch a spot in almost. He's just, I believe, with the number of trucks he has here tonight, as long as he finishes top 20, nothing can take him out of the playoffs. So he's going to try to do that from third, with Chris Brogar with one of his best qualifying efforts on the season in fourth. Fifth will go to Eric Schaefer, looking to try to continue his strong run from Darlington, with AJ Green, that driver who's trying to make it into the playoffs, +2, entering in sixth spot. Seventh will go to Mikey Neal, the driver he's racing for in that final position. Will roll off seventh, with Trevor Haley, the Daytona winner, in the eighth spot. And rounding out our top 10 on the field is going to be Montreal winner Jonathan Juergensmeyer, alongside Kyle Benson in the number 38, Nate.
Then on to row 6, it's Tyler Murray, and your points leader, Justin Rott, rolls off in 12th. Then it's Michael Walls and Duncan Foss. So there's the top 3 in points, all qualified outside the top 10. Then Craig Parks, he's -11. He's got an outside chance at this, alongside Christopher Bishop in row 8. Then Craig Lautenslager, -19. He needs a lot of help alongside Shane DeManitova. Then it's Keelan Belsha and Jason Hastings rounding out the top 20.
21st will go to the number 21 of J.J. Hill, and Brandon Banks will be the first of those not to set a lap time in tonight's race. Chris Fowler in the number 2 will be rolling off from 23rd, with Charlie Byer in the number 52 and 24th spot, and Michael Newbrawl will round out our 25 truck field here from the Auto Club Speedway. And this race is going to change a lot between now and the checkered flag. We're rolling off in the sunset conditions, and we'll eventually get onto the dark of night, and the track could change a lot between now and then, Nate.
Absolutely, it's going to get cold. There's going to be a little bit more grip in the track as the temperature goes down, and these trucks are going to be able to fan out as much as they want. And another bookend to the point on the tiebreakers, Mikey Neal has 5 top 5s, AJ Green just 2. So if it gets to that point, the spot will go to Mikey Neal.
A lot to talk about for the next 80 laps. From Southern California, Alexander Schumacher will lead them to the green flag for the final time in the regular season, and we are underway from Auto Club. Oh, it's spinning already. Tyler Murray and the 7 of Michael Walls goes spinning to the inside. No caution will wave, and indeed so now. So the yellow flag will wave for the first time this evening. Trouble already for Michael Walls and Tyler Murray.
That looked like me restarting every single race I've done on the new NASCAR 25 game, but probably a pretty simple explanation here. Tires are not heated up quite yet, and the pedal to the floor a little bit too hard. Wheel spin is a stack up a little bit, and that's what's got it going. So spoke a little out of turn there, but it starts stacking up, and that sudden change in speed just jolts the truck around. And at that point, the tires are so cold that you really can't get it back going straight.
Yeah, it looked like they were just trying to time the restart there. That it would appear so. And a couple of trucks just bunched up. There you see Mikey Neal bunch up to Schaefer, then Juergensmeyer, then Murray, and then eventually one just was too much for the other. And that's what resulted in those drivers spinning. We'll try and get you the onboard look from Michael Walls, as he was on the inside lane. And this is coming to the initial start of the race, which everybody has to go on the green light. It's not when the leader goes. And right there, just nothing that Michael Walls can do.
Yeah, this jams up right in front of him. You saw the little bit of damage to the rear of the 36 there as well. Of course, they weren't going super fast. I don't think that damage is going to be particularly tolerable for either driver.
And apparently the caution flag was never out. We were still racing that entire time. I thought surely the caution flag was out, but that was not the case. We've been racing all the way through to this point in the race, and Alexander Schumacher lost the race lead here to Nicholas Baumann on lap number 3. AJ Green with a fantastic start to get up to third.
He's got a fast racetrack right here, and he's not trying to play the points game. He's not going to try to just sit, within 2 spots of the 8 truck. He wants everything that he can get, and he's going to go ahead and try to take it. And you see the draft that he spoke to us about as they snake down the front straightaway. Now, Schumacher dives into turn number 1, gets some clean air on the nose of the truck, gets it rotated. We'll see if he can hold it on the bottom, but the momentum on the top side for Nicholas Baumann is going to be where it's at as they get to the back straightaway.
Side by side, but Baumann will have the momentum on the top. Schumacher will try to hang the truck in there, maybe try to get any kind of side draft he can. And going back to turn 3, the remain door-to-door, AJ Green trying to see what he can do from the 3rd spot. He's got Ethan Phil in 2nd runner behind him, and these 4 trucks have kind of broken away from Eric Schaefer and Trevor Haley, who appear to be battling for what would appear to be the 5th place spot on the racetrack. You see Kyle Benson trying to help that 4 truck, and those 4 have broken away, but otherwise, this is what we're going to see for most of the night, Nate. There's probably several groups of a couple of packs of trucks working together.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing, and Alexander Schumacher put on a clinic of how you need to pass when you go to the bottom of the racetrack. You need to be able to get clear in the corner, and now he breaks the draft on the back straightaway. That's him going all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack. Doesn't want to give any kind of toe to the 88 of Baumann. And he takes a wide arc to try to cover off and blanket as much dirty air as he can on the trucks behind him. Now Baumann's under fire for second. It's going to allow Schumacher to get away just a little bit.
And you have to think that Mikey Neal's watching this intently because he knows if the 75 ends up leading a lap in this race, that's an additional point that goes his way and one he's going to have to make up later in this event. So the 8 truck doesn't want to let the 75 truck get too far out ahead of him in hopes of trying to make sure he can get into the playoffs. Of course, being involved in that incident cost he had a couple of positions. He sits back in the 10th place spot. There's the number 8 right there, just behind that group of battles with the 17 of Chris Progard, Trevor Haley, among others. He's got Duncan Fawn, the number 16 behind him. Still early days in this race, Nate, only approaching lap number 7 here. But Mikey Neal, of course, does not want to let that 75 get too far out in front.
Absolutely not. Not much you can do about the other truck you're battling leading the lap. It's just that means that you're gonna have to finish 3 spots ahead of him if you're Mikey Neal. But you throw a blanket over these leaders right here, and they're setting the pace, putting even more empty track between them and the cars behind them, which is really tough to do when you're battling like this. So kudos to these 4, clearly the fastest trucks, at least on this really early short run.
Very fast they have been, and they've been so fast to the point where they can run side by side with one another like this and not really lose any time. And there you see Baumann able to make the inside work relatively easily to make the pass on Schumacher. Now the 68 has a little bit of a draft. We'll see which lane he decides to go with. He'll actually push the 88 down the straightaway. He doesn't appear to peek out in the corner, so looks like Baumann for the time being will keep that race lead. You see Moreno a little bit further back, trying his luck around the inside of that 75 truck of AJ Green. It's a battle for the 3rd spot, and nobody really able to get away, but I don't think that's what we expected to see here tonight unless we really got into a long run to the point where we would see some green flag pit stops, as there's Green now to the inside of Schumacher.
Green wants to get that point for leading a lap of this race. Any point that he can get is a point that he can put between him and Mikey Neal. He needs that, he wants that, and he's just going to try to build that gap, because you never know what can happen late in this race. We saw it with AJ Green. A week ago, he had a fast truck, got taken out in an accident that really was nothing close to his fault. He's now up in the 2nd, almost clear of Schumacher as we go on board with Nicholas Baumann.
And that was a tight squeeze there off of turn 2 for AJ Green, trying to take away the 2nd spot, and he does. Schumacher's going to push him all the way to turn 3. And you see Green is now going to be right on that back bumper of Nicholas Baumann, possibly challenging for the top spot here in a moment's notice. And Mikey Neal's had some trouble Not sure when this may have occurred, but 8 truck now down to 21st and has lost several positions. Looks like he's got some big front end damage.
The disaster for the 8 team. This race might be over before it really gets started. And you wonder, it couldn't possibly have happened on that opening lap incident. Here's the replay. Oh, wow. It's shuffled out of line.
Oh.
And then, oh.
Just had nowhere to go with the contact from the 17, as it appeared as though they were about to go 3 wide. Here's the onboard look from Neil. Trevor Haley in front. And that sun glare could have played a role here, as there's Watt trying to go through the middle. Gets them loose, and then obviously Neil does not see that 17 truck going through, and that's where that big front end damage came from. And to tell the truth here, Nate, this is a track where that engine, that aerodynamics play a huge role at, so he's going to want to make sure he gets all that damage repaired, but without a caution flag in sight, that's going to really hamper the 8 truck's chances tonight.
That's now 2 incidents that very well could have brought out a caution that did not bring out caution, so they might be really hard to come by. Everything is coming up right for AJ Green right now, but again, it's a long race, and what happened to Mikey Neal could very easily happen to AJ Green just as well. So
Yeah.
he needs to be on his toes, and really, sometimes you can be on your toes and it won't matter, because I don't think there's anything that Mikey Neal could have done to avoid that 17 that came down in front of him.
Yeah, a tough spot to be in if you're Mike and Neil. Raw makes the move through the middle, then they end up swerving in front, and that's where the contact comes from to send the 17 around, and he had no way of seeing the 17 going down the track. But there's AJ Green now looking to the inside, trying to go for the race lead. If he's able to lead at the start-finish line, that's an additional point for him, and he'll clear at the race lead for now. And it's still a long ways to go in this race, just under 70 laps remain. And as they come across their finish, you see the tandem drafting going there. Schumacher peeks to the outside. Green will lead that lap, so make the unofficial gap sit at 3. We don't have live points, but we know that now at least 3 earned points of a difference between those two to the favor of AJ Green. I believe a car was on the apron. Could have been possibly the 49 as they drifted up the racetrack. Looks like somebody was exiting the pit lane, actually. Possibly just in front of this group. But nonetheless, there's some good racing all up and down this field, Nate.
Plenty of good racing, and that's what this track provides. Why the unfortunate news that came about this track in 2022, 2023 was much to the chagrin of many fans, because this is a phenomenal show, a phenomenal racetrack, and it put on a show in the real world, it's putting on a show in the virtual world. And now a new face in second place, Ethan Fonseca Moreno, is putting a push on AJ Green here in just a little bit, as he wants his turn out front.
It was a struggle to start the season for Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and it's still been somewhat of a struggle for him to adjust to these trucks. But Moreno is strong, and you can't hold him back forever. He is trying to see if he can make an attempt to win a race. We know that just by starting this race, and with the retirement already early on or at least running 5 laps down as Chris Progar, there's a very good chance that Moreno's already with a guaranteed spot in on that 9th place spot, as now he goes to the outside of AJ Green, looking to take the race lead away.
He gets right up to the outside. We've seen guys try to make passes on the inside. This is the first attempted pass that we've seen up on the top shelf of the racetrack. He doesn't get a whole lot of momentum, but what it is when you come off the top is this. The momentum down the back straightaway that you carry from extending the time in the throttle. He's going to get side by side with the 75, and now he's going to be able to throw almost a slide job into turn number 3. Doesn't fire it in nearly as deep in the 75. It gets right onto his door. And a really good job to defend from the outside by Green right there. But Ethan Fonseca Moreno, he's certainly one of those drivers who's glad that the points completely reset in the playoffs, because he's going to be starting right on even footing with everybody else. That's bad news for the rest of the field.
And you have to say, Nate, that the collection of tracks that we see in the playoffs, generally speaking, are tracks that we see Ethan Fonseca Moreno excel at. And it's not that he hasn't in any of these regular season tracks, but they definitely lean more his way than maybe some that we have seen during this initial part of the schedule. So you give him an opportunity to go out there, and even though he hasn't won a race this season, his consistency, at least in the last couple of weeks, his speed is definitely becoming more and more noticeable. So you can't count out the bear forever, especially when you give him a chance to win a championship. It's something about him who is able to rise to the occasion and just lock in and find another gear. And that's what everyone else of the other 9 drivers are going to have to do over the next 5 weeks after we take a week off next time out and show up to the Chicagoland Speedway. It's finding that other gear to lock in for a championship run. Here's the battle for third. Eric Schaefer saved his tires pretty decently as well. He's now caught back up to this group and is fighting for third. Bauman gets the run off the corner. How about Justin Rott trying to battle for the regular season championship up here in 6th, looking to get into the top 5.
Came into this race with a 4-point lead on the regular season standings again. Not going to do anything in the way of bonus points, really just bragging rights, but nonetheless, he's putting on a great showing, qualified outside the top 10. He's worked his way up pretty nicely here early in this race and really trying to establish himself as the favorite to win the championship.
And you saw there for a moment, Schaefer tried to look to the outside of Green, had to back out of that one. And instead will now go to the inside of that 75 machine as Green looks like he may have used some of the goodie in his tires earlier on in that run to take the lead in the first place. And now he may be under fire from a couple of other trucks behind, maybe Schumacher a victim to that as well. As Bauman and Moreno and Schaefer and Benson appear to have saved their tires pretty decently, as this battle outside for second on back is still raging on.
And how about Eric Schaefer? He had a great race last week at Darlington, first race back from being under a suspension as well. Really was the fastest truck on the track for most of it, and then had it all go away there at the end. So a heartbreaker for him. He's trying to get a little bit of redemption this week at Auto Club.
Not the start to the season that the Ford truck wanted after the suspension from the penalty at Rockingham, but he came back at Darlington and proved that he is a deserving driver of being in this series, that he can be competitive. And already here earlier on in this one, he is showing some top 5 speed, and that's possibly what he's trying to build on in this season, is that if we do get back to a possible season 2 sometime in January next year, that given a full schedule, he could be a driver that can compete and try to race his way into these playoffs. So these last 6 or so 7 races that he's going to be able to run, Nate, is going to be an opportunity for Schaefer to learn these trucks, learn his competitors in this vehicle, and see what he can carry with him to the next time out. Oh, and he's going to get into Benson, and he turns Benson. And they're both are going to spin to the inside. He'll go nose in hard to the inside wall. You see the smoke there. And right as we were talking about him, Nate, I would say that's our first instance of commentators jinxed throughout the night. And unfortunately for Eric Schaefer, you saw the plume of smoke there. He's going to tow it back to the garage. Night over for the Ford truck.
Deja vu all over again for Eric Schaefer. It was the front stretch a week ago, this time on the back stretch. And that's one of the more perilous situations you can find yourself in as a driver at Auto Club Speedway, because the moment that you're sideways like that on the backstretch at Auto Club Speedway, there's just not much space. They run out of racetrack coming out of turn number 2, and the 38 gets it locked down quick, but the 4 does not, and just nails that inside safer barrier right there.
Here's a look from the number 4 truck running inside the top 5, and he just gets a little bit tight. He's trying to lean on Benson, and you can see Benson nearly got it saved, but it was just enough contact, and as Schaefer locks it down, you hear right there immediately it goes poof, and it just absolutely went from under him. So he had no chance of driving it back to the pit lane and trying to repair the truck by any means. Benson, on the other hand, looks like he may have gotten less damage than the driver of the 4 truck, but it's going to really hamper Benson's opportunity to try to go for the race win here tonight. The biggest break this is for is Mikey Neal, who was probably about 5 or 6 laps away from going a lap down due to the damage on his race truck. You could expect to see this A truck on pit road and try to spend as much time under this caution pitting for repairs to that A truck, because every second of damage repair that he can get will be extremely useful into getting him back into this race.
I was just about to ask where he was at on the track when that happened, because that's a huge break for him. He gets the chance to come down pit road, get some damage repaired. Everyone else is going to be probably making a full-on pit stop here, so he's not going to lose that much time relatively, and that gives him all that much more time to get working on that damage.
And everybody will be into the pit lane for the first time tonight. The fuel window is expected to be somewhere in the 30-lap range, give or take, so definitely 2 stops will still be needed, or at least 1 additional stop from this point forward, as everybody appears to be going into their stalls nice and cleanly, Nate. That's the fuel window. Tires, on the other hand, could play a big role for strategy if we tend to get into some more yellow flags later. There's Moreno with a great stop to get away with the race lead. Looks like Schumacher will come away with 4th, Green exits in 3rd. Rott will stay in the 5th spot. There you see Benson exiting later, possibly fixing some of the damage on that 38 truck. And Mikey Neal, of course, sitting on the pit lane, getting some of that damage repaired to his number 8 machine. Very much necessary. Trevor Haley sitting in the pit lane as well, possibly some damage repair as well. You remember Jonathan Jurgensmeyer involved in that opening lap incident. He's getting some damage repair there as well. Probably got it fixed up. There he goes. Michael Walls as well, possibly getting some of that fixed. As both of these guys, or several of these cars, are sitting in the pit lane here on lap number 22 of 80. And Nate, I just want to figure something out here. With this caution flag, does this open the door to see possibly some more yellow flags going forward? Or do you think that with what we saw in that opening run, that it's possible we can continue to see some green flag racing throughout at least this middle portion of this race?
It's an infamous trope at this point, but cautions do breed cautions. But it took a car nailing the inside wall for a caution to come out. We had a couple of instances of trucks spinning down into the infield at the start of this race, and they did not bring out a caution. So I don't doubt that we'll see an incident that could bring out a caution, but it's a matter of whether or not the caution flag gets thrown.
It is. And a lot of that, at least for iRacing at least, it's determined on whether the cars are on the racing surface. I know that the cars that we just saw spun were off the track, but because Benson was sideways while he was still over the racetrack, at times that could be just enough for iRacing to consider that a yellow flag. Sometimes the speed has a lot to do with it. So we're not exactly sure sometimes when is it enough for the sim to automatically throw it, but nonetheless, those are the general characteristics. If you're way down on the apron like the 36 and the 7 were on the initial start of the green flag over by the grass, that's most likely not going to bring it out. I remember a race back in 2020, or 2021 rather, here at Auto Club. It was a playoff race, and the leaders on the front row of the restart collided on the jump. It resulted in both of them spinning to the grass. One of them even got stuck in the pit barriers, but the race went green. It was an overtime restart, and I remember that very vividly. It came over with their 3rd place finish on that event, but it was just goes to show that a spin or something of a mistake on the wrong place could not bring out a caution to save you. And these truckers have to keep that in mind throughout the evening as we're getting ready for our first restart of the night, being led by Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who's on the front row with Nicholas Bauman. And we're going back to the Geico restart zone. And there's the great launch for Moreno. He'll clear for the race lead. Bauman will clear for the 2nd place spot with Alexander Schumacher following suit.
Great restart from Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Everyone else keeps it clean behind him as well. It looks like we're going to settle in, at least as they look 3 wide for just a moment there in turns 1 and 2. That's Rott looking to the inside of green, but they're going to settle things out. Looks like everyone keeps it straight. All the fenders crossed up. Clean restart thus far.
And there you see Keelan Belsha making a move to the inside here of Justin Rott. Keelan has had a struggle of a season on his own right, is somewhere down below the top 20 or so in points from just how troublesome it's been for that 18 Dirty South Racing machine, as there's 3 wide behind him. But right now inside the top 10, it could be just the run that the 18 needs to try and make salvage of the season it's been for him.
And certainly not the season that he had hoped for coming in, really whatsoever. But yeah, it gets to a point where you just kind of, they stack up a little bit there, and they're going to be almost 4 wide. Oh, there he goes around. Got sideways a little bit.
What a
Looked like he
save.
saved it. Wow. Almost jinxed another driver right there. But I guess point proven more so than anything that it's just not been the ideal season for Keelan Belsha. It's certainly not what he would have wanted.
What a save there's. It looks like the 53 tagged up the track. You see the 20 of Shane DiMantova go by avoiding it. We'll try and get a better look at it. Here's a look now from the onboard of that 20. You're going to see this 53 try to get a better exit as Belsha gets loose mid-corner, gets the tap from the 20, but just goes up in there. You see it blinks out for a moment, but what a save by Keelan Belsha to keep that thing straight, pointed in the right direction, and keep this race under the green flag. Of course, he's not going to want to see that be the case. He doesn't want to lose all those spots, but down in 21st and a clean race truck is definitely going to help out the 18. The 8, on the other hand, there you see him there. He sits in 23rd, tried to repair a lot of the truck that he was able to, but it's not fully clean. He still has a little bit of that nose damage, maybe still has some engine damage. Certainly another caution flag is what this 8 truck needs to make sure he gets everything right and maybe try and get some track position later on.
Yeah, but the good news is he's halfway home. He's had the one caution that allowed him to get some repairs. And additionally, that's a truck that he's able to be ahead of on the track no matter what. Should something happen with the Ford truck of Schaefer being in the garage now, done for the day. So you got to take the little victories where they come, especially when you're chipping away from a big loss early. But out front, we got a nice single file train of trucks kind of weave with one another. They jostle for position.
And there's AJ Green as he's going to get into Alexander Schumacher.
Oh.
Schumacher with a fantastic save on the outside. Wow.
Man, we have seen a lot of near disasters in this race. And that's just another one of them right there. Let's take a look at what happens here. It is kind of just gets into him. He's gonna have a great angle on that of to see exactly what was up with the 75 and the 68 there. They just kind of get into each other a little bit. Here's the onboard with AJ Green. And it was behind AJ Green that Justin Rott dove down to the inside, so that certainly could have impacted him. AJ Green is in the corner so much hotter than Schumacher. That is quite the closing rate that we saw right there. I'm not sure if Schumacher maybe had to bobble and catch it just a little bit and we didn't really see the truck step out, but he just felt it and had to slow up or what, but that was a really crazy speed differential.
A big closing rate difference on corner entry, but what a save by Schumacher to keep it under control. He falls back to the 18th spot, and now he's going to lose all the track position he had. Not the ideal going for your pole sitter, but he has a long way to go still in this one. As how about Justin Rott here, Nate? The first repeat winner of the season after capturing his second win last week at Darlington, has found his way up to second, and he's looking to the outside of your race leader, trying to go for win number 3.
And putting his name in the hat for hard charger at the very least in this race. Look at it, he just squeezes. There was a truck width on the outside of Moreno, and he took all of it, and he just blasts past the 077 down the back straightaway. He has really just found some incredible pace in that truck. Hangs it on the quarter panel of Moreno once again on the exit of turn 4. And he should still have just that little sliver of racetrack, and he does. We'll see if AJ Green wants to push or if he wants to go test 3 wide himself, but Justin Rott really flexing his muscle at the end of the regular season, getting the second win last week at Darlington, now going from outside the top 10 to fighting for the lead in the first half of the race at Auto Club.
And there's Moreno sliding up mid-corner to try to force him to back out, and that opens the door for AJ Green to try and take the spot away. Looks like Nicholas Baumann getting a run here as well to try and make it a 2x2 fight at the front of the field. Justin Rott has put on a great couple of races as he's trying to win that regular season championship. No actual bonus points for winning it though. However, if he's able to get it, I'm sure he'd feel very confident in his abilities if he can sit there saying he was the best driver over the course of its first 10 races with the multiple victories to his name, feeling very confident as the favorite going into these playoffs. But how about AJ Green having a great run here, trying to be a part of that 10-man chase as Moreno is playing a wonderful defensive masterclass here.
And something that, talking about AJ Green and just in general, something that I think is maybe lost in this with the points reset, it's a lot of momentum right here. What you've done all season doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you sneak into the 10th spot or if you run away with the first spot. Everyone's going to start at 2,000 next week, and I might just go out and say the front 3 right now might be the front 3 as far as front runners for the championship when we get to the playoffs.
And there's so many other drivers that are still capable of doing something when we show up to Chicagoland with that fresh start. But surely over the past couple of weeks, these 3 have been some of the ones to watch. As look at Rott jump all the way up to the 3rd lane. He's going to go get to the outside. He is there. They're going to have to leave him the space. He tags the wall, but he's still there. Look at this, 3 wide for the lead.
I mean, shades of Kyle Larson from Justin Rott. I mean, he was ripping the fence. That's as high as we've seen any truck go in 1 and 2 here in this entire race, and you saw exactly what it did. It got him right back into this battle for the lead to be able to press the leader. Ethan Fonseca Moreno does not have the space to use that run out of 4. He would have liked to have gone down and tried to make the move on the front stretch. I'm almost certain of it, but he just barely got boxed in by AJ Green. We'll see if he tries the bottom in turns 1 and 2. Yes, he does. versatile, goes all the way down to that white line, and this time it's going to be clear. Moreno slides up, Moreno on the crossover down the back stretch.
Moreno back to the inside, so once again continuing to battle for the lead. There's Duncan Fall trying to make it go 3 wide. Moreno has to put the block on him. Fall looked like he tried to go for the inside or the middle momentarily. Now has to charge up the outside. Now he's going to race one of his teammates in Justin Rott for that position. They're side by side for second, almost making some contact. As you look further back, you'll notice a red and black Toyota Tundra. That's the 78 of Craig Loudslugger. Just remember, he's also one of those drivers trying to make it in on those points to try and qualify for the playoffs. He's going to need a lot of help, but he's in position to do so if anything happens to AJ Green.
Absolutely. I mean, he comes into this one minus 19. There's plenty more than 19 trucks in this field. So in theory, he could make a charge at it, but it would take a lot of help. But it's mathematically possible, something we weren't so sure it was going to be.
And you saw a little bit of contact between your leaders there as Rott was going into the corner. You see Rott hang low, trying to protect the bottom. Moreno will go to the outside, try to lean in for some side draft. He'll lead back to the line. This battle for the lead has been fantastic here, Nate.
It absolutely has, and it's been more than just these two drivers going at it. Duncan Foss made his way into the picture, and there you see this is the difference in strategy. Justin Rott with a much cleaner slide job-esque move in 1 and 2 there, but even still, the crossover executed perfectly by Ethan Fonseca Moreno, and Duncan Foss is just waiting in the wings right here, trying to find his chance to get through in that Bergeson 16.
And he's going to get into the back of the 77 truck. That's going to stack up your top couple of trucks here. Could invite AJ Green and Nicholas Baumann back into this battle. It is getting feisty. You see Moreno shaking that truck. Gives the inside up to Justin Rott. Fall will try to hang back and watch as these two continue to battle for the top spot.
And we keep seeing Justin Rott make this run down the inside of turn number 1. And if he can just get it to stick, but Ethan Fonseca Moreno does the crossover so well. This is the best the 76 has looked at it too. He's going to be able to throw the block. Isn't able to complete it though on the 077. He's going to now have to roll the top and carry the momentum the same way Ethan Fonseca Moreno's done.
Moreno's trying to see if he can roll that bottom. It's going to be difficult. They've both been using up the tires to try and take over this race lead. Moreno does a decent job on that inside lane, but they remain door to door. And look at the run that 16's getting. We'll see if he goes 3 wide. He'll actually push Ethan Fonseca Moreno to try and get the advantage. Nearly makes contact with AJ Green going back to turn 1, and now it's Moreno driving it into the corner, trying to get up in front of that 76 truck, take away any momentum he can off the corner. And once again, Moreno just proving to be the Minister of Defense and theme of Sergio Perez, one of his favorite F1 drivers. And he is proving to be part of that challenge here tonight, almost at the halfway point.
They're doing a phenomenal job on defense, and they keep waiting for Duncan Fall to step to the bottom and 3 wide on the front straightaway with some of the runs he's gotten. And now he finally steps out to the inside of Justin Rott, as Justin Rott tried to step to the inside of Moreno. Almost contact between teammates as they sail off to turn 1.
And look at Nicholas Baumann, who's found his way up into 4th. He'll try to tune up that 3rd lane to see if he can get some kind of a run on those two. He's going to have one here off the corner, and he'll make it 3 wide.
That's the 3 wide move I've been waiting to see out of Duncan Fall for first. This time it's Baumann for second going forward, and that's going to be a little sigh of relief for Ethan Fonseca Moreno as 3 trucks side by side in his rearview mirror. Well, maybe not, because Nicholas Baumann is cleared super quickly of the Goding teammates.
And you got to remember, this 88 truck has been hanging with this trio, but he hasn't been slide jobbing every other lap of this race. So his tires are probably a little bit cooler, a little bit better off right now. So he can probably pass these guys a little bit easier than they are able to get around one another. And now we'll see what the kind of charge he's able to mount for this lead.
Yeah, it's one of the benefits of not forcing the issue and watching the guys fight in front of you. It's you get those tires a lot cleaner, a lot less worn out, and they're not as hot, and they certainly aren't cold. And now he's going to step to the inside of turn number 3 of Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Is he going to be able to get clear on the bottom? Drives it super smooth, painting the white line, but just barely not enough as they get to the exit. He's got to jump out of the throttle. Everyone's in the wall out of 4.
Everyone's in the wall, but Baumann's the only one that does it, and that'll give him the race lead as here comes Rott now, trying to take over that 2nd place spot. What a battle at the front of the field we have here, Nate, as now Rott goes to the 3rd lane.
gives it the third lane. That might be the sixth or seventh lane up on the top of the racetrack, and he continues
Oh,
to
and
be
he's
the
there.
only guy all the way up to the top shelf. And what a run through turns 1 and 2 for Justin Rott.
Oh, big run through the center of the corner, and he gets him the top spot. What a move.
That was exactly the kind of move that he's been trying to execute this entire race, and he is a good gap on everybody else as well here, so he's going to get a chance to get himself, except everyone's going to get a monster toe on him down the front straightaway, so that gap closes so quickly. That's the power of the draft at Auto Club.
And looking further back through this field, how about JJ Hill in the 21 truck? It has not been a great season for the Florida native, but he runs inside this top 10. Won't be a driver that makes the playoffs, but nearly had a chance, had a really good result at Pocono on that alternative strategy, and he has been running in this top 10 for much of the evening. Looking to try and see if he can do anything here on the West Coast to try and recover positions. There's Michael Walls behind him. Charlie Beyer up in this top 10 as well. And Jonathan Jurgensmeyer trying his best to make up some positions after the lap 1 damage he sustained in the 11th spot. And the progress... And the progress so far for the 8 truck of Mikey Neal has not exactly been great. He sits there still in the 23rd spot, just slowly losing time to everybody. Generally speaking, about 3 or 4 tenths a lap slower. And part of that could be due to draft, but like we mentioned earlier, he's probably still has some damage on that racetrack, and he's going to need a caution flag before the green flag pit stops begin in about 10 or so laps. It can happen as early as maybe 7 to 10 from now. The final green flag pit stops, the window can probably extend another additional 10 to 15, but Mikey Neal would certainly like a caution flag in a time that'll benefit him to stay on the lead lap and continue to repair that truck. It's just not been the night for him.
That is the best case scenario for Mikey Neal. It's not the worst case scenario if he has to go a lap down repairing his truck under green flag stops and a caution comes out after. He would, in theory, be the one driver 1 lap down, unless, of course, the caution comes out during pit cycles. He'd be able to get back around to the lead lap. It's just a matter of he wants him as fast as possible because he wants to have as much time to work back through the field once he gets that truck fully repaired.
And some intense racing here just inside and outside the top 10 with Kyle Benson, Charlie Beyer, JJ Hill, among others, racing for these positions. Michael Walls got by that 21 truck. He'll get up into 7th. And this is where you'll see the difference between who saved their tires better than others in this later portion of the run as they're trying to navigate around this bumpy racetrack. Rott has now maintained the lead, and he's moved up almost permanently up into this high side lane. You see right there, Bauman's able to get to the inside. Actually has a great run. Got all the way side by side off the corner. That's not something they had done over the last couple laps, but you see just how big of a run Rott carries on the straightaway to pull away by nearly 3 tenths from what they were side by side off before.
That's really the benefit of getting that high on the racetrack. And if you can run that line, you see Bauman's trying to replicate it up there as much as he can, but even he's a lane lower than Justin Rott. Rott all the way up above that top seam of this racetrack, and that's where the speed is if you can run it properly. If you don't run it properly, it's really, really slow. So great on Rott for getting up there and just putting the pedal to the metal.
And now he goes to the bottom this time, so we'll see what the changeup does here for himself and for Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who runs just that little bit higher, which should give him a slightly better run here down the straightaway with the draft. So Moreno not quite done with this battle. He's looking to try and close the gap back up to the 76 before making a trip down the pit lane.
Yes, it's really the name of the game, and I think also the name of the game is once we get to green flag stops, who's going to come in a little bit earlier, maybe a lap or two, and how much is that going to change the battles for these positions if someone can get an outlap on fresher tires than their opponents?
And it's going to be very interesting to see, because I would say the biggest factor in determining if you want to pit earlier or later is, would it get broken up by yellow flags? I think if the yellow flag is going to come out, you probably would prefer pitting on the earlier side to guarantee that track position. But if you see this going green to the end, well, maybe you want to wait later, have a little bit of fresher tires towards the latter half of the run. It's not going to be by a lot of laps, Nate, that window between when you can make it to the end versus the longest you can go on your current run. At best, it's about a 5 to 8-lap range, so it's not a lot compared to what we've seen at other racetracks. So it's going to be a lot of a general consensus, but Moreno clearly right now showing a little bit of better pace.
Flexing his muscle, he's shown Justin Roth the inside on a really wide arced corner the last couple of laps. This time he goes pretty much right to Justin Roth's tire tracks. And so not much you can do. If you follow the leader, you're going to follow the leader in turns 3 and 4 there. But he has definitely been gaining just a little bit lap after lap after lap, and it certainly helps as he gets, again, right in the tire tracks of the 76. On the straightaways, that's where you want to be, but out of the corners, you don't want to have to follow the guy. This is it, the wide angle, and the, again, not all the way to the bottom this time for Moreno, but certainly not nearly as high as Justin Roth. But it's that momentum for the 76 that he rolls off the corner with that's been keeping him out in front.
And the biggest thing for Moreno is that he's lucky it's the trucks, and not the next-gen cars that we just saw this past Wednesday night, where those have probably the worst dirty air. These trucks, they aren't too affected negatively by dirty air. It exists, but nowhere near in the same capacity as with some of these other vehicles. So it's not doing him too much harm right now. Maybe more so the tires than anything. That's certainly not the handling individually. As Bauman will give him the push up to the outside, he has taken that line away now from Rock, going back to turn 1 with the help of that 88 truck. And we'll see if Moreno's able to use that lane against Rock to try and get by him here for the lead with 31 laps remaining.
Yeah, absolutely will. He's going to get just a nose out in front of that 76, and it's going to transfer to almost the entire length of the truck. And Bauman uses the draft to get right back to the 077 again. So Justin Roth had a few laps of calm when he was out in front. Now he's got to go right back into battle mode as he loses the lead.
And they're both going to be pitting as Roth. Look at that entry he had. You've got to remember the pit lane that we had at Darlington last week, him and Moreno making that contact, but this time looks like he had a great entry, clean this time with no major contact with Moreno. In fact, they're side by side going into their stall. I believe Roth's stall will be first compared to Moreno, who started further up in the front. And they see the 76 already peeling off. Looks like they're not the only trucks in the lane, as look at Michael Walls sliding his way into his stall. Doesn't miss it though, as Craig Parks will be the remain out on the racetrack. Jason Hastings among others. JJ Hill, Trevor Haley, Chris Fowler, and Mikey Neal will be into the pit lane. Surprise move by the 8 to pit here early.
You'll see this might just be the idea of, how much time can he spend on pit road while everyone's running laps on older tires that are going to be putting a little bit slower laps. It would just be that little slight amount more that he could have of damage repair while he's on pit road, just a second, if that. That could be the call there. His hands are really tied here. And Mikey Neal, he needed a caution before this.
Oh, and Duncan Fall missed his pit stall far left and forward, so he had to back up there. And a lot of the field is into the pit lane here, as mostly your top 2 or 3 have stayed out on, or top 2 rather, have stayed on the racetrack. That's Kyle Benson and Tyler Murray. Those teammates are still remaining on the racetrack and have assumed the race lead. Kyle Benson will now go to the pit lane, so will Tyler Murray. So this should conclude our green flag pit stop cycle. There's Nicholas Bauman exiting, and it's going to be Ethan Fonseca Moreno ahead of Justin Roth. And you see the gap there by pitting a lap earlier than most of the field. What it has given them, it's given them some breathing room to try and do battle here for the final 27.
Yeah, that's the one that's coming in 1 lap earlier, so they get a lap on fresh tires theoretically, while everybody else is running on tires at the end of the run. Michael Walls makes a huge jump up there as well. He's going to be net 3rd position after this everything cycles out, unless of course, say Kyle Benson and Tyler Murray decided to do 2 tires, but I certainly can't imagine that happening.
Not certainly something that won't happen, and they just went by those 2 cars on the inside. You saw them there on the left side of the pit road.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they took 2 tires, they certainly would not be holding those spots for very long anyway, because they'd have to pit again for 4. But, crazier things have happened. But now we're going to get a great battle here for the last 25 or so laps between Ethan Fonseca Moreno and Justin Roth. And if they fight it a little too hard, Michael Walls is 2 seconds back ahead of Bauman.
And then the caution flag will wave just after the pit stop sequence was completed. And looking
what were we saying about announcer jinxes?
Oh boy. At least they made it through the green flag pit stop cycle this time, I'll say. A lot of drivers would not have been a huge fan of it if it happened during the cycle. And it looks like we're all right there. Trouble for Kyle Benson.
Yeah, that truck looks like it's a little bit a little bit wounded there. The rear bumper looked caved in just a little bit, but it also looked like it might have just been off. And we'll take a look at what happened. Here's him coming off of pit road, getting up to speed, cold tires. It's, you know, it seems pedestrian, but it is something that you got to be focused on, and it can be difficult trying to keep out of harm's way. He starts to slide a little bit there. It looks like gets to the blend line and coming into merge.
Oh, no.
Oh, just right in front of Charlie Byer. Wow.
Wow. An unsafe
That's,
merging right there for Kyle Benson, right in front of up-to-speed traffic is what sends him around.
That's a really bad mistake for Kyle Benson. And he is fortunate, for one thing, that there's not more drivers in this field, because he came into this just 27 points above the cut line. He'll be okay points-wise. But this is... Wow.
Yeah, and there's nothing that Charlie Byer can do right there. He sees that 38 just going up and up and up and up, and nothing really changing, so he has to take avoiding action. The problem was, at the same time, that's when Benson decided to take action against coming up in front, and both of them did the same thing at the same time with that closing rate. Unfortunately for Benson, it's going to result in his second spin of the day.
Yeah, that's really just an odd thing to see, but now he gets to re-rack the field. Alexander Schumacher coming down pit road right here.
He had lost some track position after the big save he had after contact with AJ Green, and of course during the green flag pit stop cycle was outside the top 15, so he'll dive it into the lane here, try to get some fresh tires, maybe just some fuel, try to change the balance on his race truck. Mikey Neal into the lane once again, continuing to try and repair whatever he can to that truck. This is the best opportunity he had. He wasn't going to repair much under green, but we'll see if that A truck can do anything to get back to a competitive state. You see him exit relatively quickly, so I think that the truck is probably good to go and fixed now for Mikey Niels. He gets out ahead of that 68, and this is the highest we've seen the A truck running since the incident occurred. He's currently in the 17th spot for Mikey Neal. Still a long way to go, and AJ Green is sitting in 5th, and at the end of the day, that's the battle we're looking at. We're looking at Mikey Neal in 17th versus AJ Green in 5th. Don't discount out Craig Lautenschlager or that 53 of Craig Parks, who currently sits 22nd, last car on the lead lap.
Yeah, and this battle with Mikey Neal and AJ Green essentially comes down to Mikey Neal needs 3 spots over AJ Green if he wants to pass him. Now, again, there's bonus points out there, right? That's why we're saying 3 instead of 2, which it was when we came into this race, because Green led a lap, got the bonus point. But if Mikey Neal's able to maneuver his way to the front if that truck's fully healed up, he could get that point for leading a lap, and there's bonus points out there for winning the race as well. But essentially what it boils down to is 3 spots. And there are, from that spot, there is 15 spots that need to change hands, if my math is correct. Green is 12 spots ahead of Neal. Neal needs to be 3 spots ahead of Green. Right, last time I checked, 12 plus 3 is 15. I think my math's good there. I'll ask my kindergarten teacher if that's right after this race is over.
Well, it's somewhere in that range, Nate, I'm sure. So we'll see how Mikey's able to progress through there. And you got to remember, we also don't know for sure if AJ Green on that contact with Alexander Schumacher maintained his 0x in this race. It could have possibly given him a 2x, but we have no way of confirming that as it stands right now. If it gave him a 2x, they'll be even. You got to remember, Neal sustained damage. That was going to be 4x contact no matter what. If AJ has a clean car, that's an additional point to his favor, which would make the representative symbol 4 rather than 3. But still, so much can happen here in these final 24 laps to go when we take the green flag.
And also, you can't forget, I feel like it gets repeated every single week here, but cautions breed cautions.
Can't forget about it. It feels like it's every single week we have to bring it up because it has just been the case all this time. Pace truck heads into the pit lane. Ethan Fonseca Moreno chooses the outside for this restart. He'll have a good ally in Nicholas Baumann behind him, as you see stacking up a little bit further back, some 3 wide deep in the field, as there's a great launch for your top 2. Michael Walls will try to jump up there and make battle.
Really good restart from Ethan Fonseca Moreno. He has been just absolute class every single chance that he gets. And out in front, and at that point, it's really good at defense. Oh, Tyler Murray's in the wall hard.
Tyler Murray going for the spin further in the back of the field, putting us under the yellow flag once again.
Call me a broken record, but what was I saying?
Indeed so, Nate, here. Another yellow flag. Just after the restart, we saw 3 wide as they were approaching the restart zone. And I wasn't quite sure what may have caused it. That was in the area of Mikey Neal. So we'll try to take a look at it from there. And there you see the field. It looks like there's a little bit of an acceleration. Fowler sees it. There's a second checkup. He avoids Jurgensmeyer, goes all the way to the bottom, and that messes everything up. You see a couple trucks have to take avoiding action. And there's Tyler Murray in the back of all of this. So as we're now getting up to speed, the incident's going to be here in the middle of 1 and 2, off of turn number 2. You see Murray with Newbrawl, with Neal, and it looks like possibly the 36 gets tagged. Yeah, you see right there, Neal gets into the 6 of Newbrawl just slightly, and that's what sends him spinning down into Murray, causing the entire collection together.
The Hornet's nest for you right there, right in the middle of traffic. And Mikey Neal is desperate. He has taken every inch of track that he can get. If he thinks he can take it, he's going to take it. Certainly was leaning on the 6 just a little bit there and started to run out of racetrack. But if you're Mikey Neal, you can't just be lifting right here, especially not on a restart when you've got to make up as many spots as you do. You can't be babysitting the other drivers around you. You've got to be going as hard as you can, and that's an unfortunate consequence when that's the mentality.
It's an unfortunate consequence for the driver of the 8, but it's like you said, he has to go for that move. It wasn't a bad move. It was just so small and so minimal of contact that you wouldn't expect possibly that 6 truck to even go around, let alone ricochet into the 36 and end up spinning around there. But just unfortunate circumstance, but it does rack up the field once again.
And honestly, I think that if there's no 36 truck for the 6 to bump into, everything's probably fine and dandy. I think the 6 gets it back straightened, but there's just so little margin for error when they're on top of each other like that. The 6 getting sideways just a little bit puts it in the outside quarter panel of the 36, and that's a much more difficult save than if you're going to get hit on the inside very slightly.
And we'll see how the final 20 are navigated here. Going through our field very quickly here. How about Michael Walls making an appearance inside the top 5? Has had a couple of podium finishes so far this season, looking to try and capture his first win on the schedule. Brandon Banks in the 6th spot, looking to try and get one of his better results on the season. Craig Lautenschlager in the top 10, looking for his outside shot at making the playoffs. Would still need trouble to the 75 to stand a chance at that, but he's at least in a position to capitalize if that were to happen. The number 78 machine. JJ Hill with a possible top 10 run going here tonight. So does Shane DiMantova, who we have not seen maybe since race number 2 or even the Daytona International Speedway, making a rare appearance here. The number 20 machine. Charlie Beyer was race control for the first half of the season, has transitioned over to driver. He is running inside the 11th position as it stands right now. Jonathan Jorgensmeyer, Christopher Bishop, Jason Hastings inside this top 15. And Jurg has not exactly had the day he's wanted to. Probably one of his, I would say, off performances of this season, Nate. But if there's any time you want to have it, it's going to be this race, since he's guaranteed a spot into the playoffs on those points. It won't affect his championship run, even though he won't get that regular season championship, should continue as is. But like we mentioned, it's not actually going to give you anything. So at this point, you might want to take this one if this is going to be your worst performance so far.
Yeah, I mean, but certainly better to have it in a fairly inconsequential race as things seem right now, as opposed to having it in the playoffs. My one concern is that Auto Club, though it's, bigger, of course, than Chicagoland, it's pretty similar. It's aged. It's an intermediate style racetrack. It's a little higher banked, and there's a curve on the backstretch. But by and large, it's a very, it's an abrasive intermediate similar to Auto Club. So I think there's definitely going to need to be some notes taken from what they can change over from this race on that 00 truck to get a little bit more dialed in at Chicagoland.
We'll see if that's the case when they pull up to the Chicagoland Speedway in 2 weeks' time. But for now, we still have 20 laps to go in the Auto Club Speedway to determine who wins this race and who qualifies for the playoffs. It's once again Ethan Fonseca Moreno, Nicholas Baumann, this time on the front row for the restart with Justin Rott in third, Michael Walls in fourth. Through to the restart zone, there's the 77 going. Justin Rott does a great job of going with Ethan, and he'll peek to the inside.
As the best we've seen anyone match the 077 on a restart today. Justin Rott's going to get all the way to the bottom of the racetrack here on this restart, see what he can do. Oh my goodness, they're using about 5 lanes across the racetrack. Michael Walls is right there as well, almost peeking a 3 wide.
Ready to make it 3 wide at a moment's notice, but he is helping his teammate Justin Rott try to go down this back straightaway, and for the time being, there's Rott trying to clear for that top spot, but Moreno's going to fight it back on the outside. They remain side by side for the first 2-3 rows as AJ Green sits back from the 5th spot.
AJ Green right now, it's all about just kind of managing his position. The win would be nice, but the playoff spot is nicer. You don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. When you wreck the truck, now things going to be a problem because the 8's nice and healed up, but they're 2x2. They're the front 4 right there, and really just ripping him across the bottom and middle lanes of this racetrack. Everything is being hung out right now.
And how about the self-clearing job there by Micah to get him to third in front of Baumann. Baumann will go back to the bottom to try and mount that challenge, and Moreno not letting Rott get to the lane that he felt comfortable in. Remember, Rott was running that outside lane, felt very comfortable in doing so, but Moreno has tried taking that away from him, and it's worked so far. How about Michael Walls now to the outside for second?
He's like, hey, let me try the top lane, and it's worked pretty good for him. He's up, again, not as high as Rott was earlier, but the highest of anyone on track right now, and he is trying to make everything that he can work. He gets this big run down the back straightaway. We go on board with him. You see the closing right up to the 077. Now he's going to switch back to the inside and throw it in there.
He tries to go in, but he won't clear Ethan as Moreno will fight back on the outside. They'll make some contact there off of turn 4, and Walsall's not going to give him an inch. These are drivers fighting for their first win of the season as Rott gets a big run from third.
You'll see what Rott's able to do with this run. Ethan Fonseca Moreno stays high as long as possible to kind of block the 76, but we see it right there. He just runs that top lane so much better than anybody else.
Oh, he's going to get turned into Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Around goes the 77 down the back straightaway. Fall gets into him. Schumacher will spin in it late. They'll collect almost a couple of other trucks. And around goes the dominant driver of the night, one of them, and Ethan Fonseca Moreno off the front bumper of Michael Walls as they was just trying to squeeze up in front, bringing us under the yellow flag once again. And forgive me, not Michael Walls, but Justin Rott, as those drivers were racing very aggressively for the race lead. And here's a look at it, Nate. See the 7 truck running in front, then there's the 76 with the big run. I don't think Moreno either gave enough room or didn't expect the 76 to be there, but it looks like he may have drifted up into the path of the 76, and I don't think Rott was going to lift there.
Absolutely not. You can't lift if you're getting your nose kind of cleaned out, which is what it looks like from that side angle. Of course, we will see this is the onboard here, but definitely don't want to lift if you have the line as you roll off the top. And we've seen this time and time again. He's got the run. No, that was a squeeze play there from the 76. There was not so much space right there. Certainly not the width of a truck.
Yeah,
You're gonna be hard pressed to say back out of it for Justin Rott, but certainly not as much space as would have been necessary.
Yeah, it is tough to say if he should have backed out or not of that one. He's going for the win, trying to go for his number 3. But there was a fair bit of time between when they exit the corner and when the contact happened to the point where you could say, well, maybe he was being opportunistic. Maybe he thought Moreno would give him the space. But I think you could also pose the same thing for Moreno, saying, I'm pretty sure he just didn't think that Rott was going to go for that gap on the outside right then and there. But both of them assumed. You know what they say about assuming. And that's what happened to both of those two. No, we can't, but everyone knows the phrase. And that's the consequence of both of those drivers thinking what the other one was going to do.
And it was fast because it was kind of a blur as they drove by. But I want to say that that the 8 just barely snuck by that accident on the inside.
And he's pitting here
And
for
that's
tires.
there's the call. 15 to go. You're gonna have a little bit fresher tires, and they had 3 sets in the pits. So hey, use them while you got them. And if you follow the leader, you're gonna follow the leader. So you gotta switch it up. If you're Mikey Neal, gets through that wreck, there's life for the 8 truck right now.
He's up to 13th, and he's got some fresher tires on his truck. AJ Green is in 3rd. So there's still opportunities for this 8 machine to qualify for the playoffs. He has to get up there and race. And after this 14.6 second stop, putting on most likely his last set of tires, you can't help but think that this is probably a really good opportunity for Mikey Neal to do something. You think about it, Nate, with the damage to the truck he's had, he probably didn't take tires at least on one of those stops just to purely repair the truck. So he probably had an extra set laying there, and that's probably the set he bolted on now.
You know, you very well could be right about that. It's if you got them, use them, and you absolutely need to use them if you're Mikey Neal. Whether or not this ends up netting him a spot in the playoffs, this is really his only chance at it. And if this race goes green, I frankly like the chances of it, but that's been the main thing. We feel like, again, we discuss this every single week. These guys on old tires, they're banking on the fact that more cautions are going to come out as guys on new tires try to race through everyone. And there's a lot of traffic to get through, but Auto Club's an abrasive racetrack. So certainly there's an opportunity for things to go awry. Yeah, and for these fresh tires to get themselves up there.
There's going to be plenty of opportunities. And I would say the biggest thing is they don't necessarily need the 13 laps that we'll have to go green flag, but they certainly need chunks of 3, 4, 5 laps all at once to make good use of those fresh tires. They'll still have some good in them even if we get a couple of restarts, and they just need at least one long enough run to make up the big track position, get up into the top 10, and then once they're there, I think it's fair game. AJ Green has to be thinking about this. Obviously, he's going to try to go for this win most likely, but I think the biggest thing he has to think about, make sure he stays in front of that 8. Somebody must be reminding him about that. And how about the top 5 being completed by Brandon Banks and Kyle Benson? Benson brought out the caution that set this whole thing up at the end of the green flag pit stop cycle with the 52 of Charlie Byer, who's going to be alongside him in this row. And they're inside this top 6. So what a change-up for those two, as they'll be on row number 3. Leading us to this restart will be Nicholas Bauman and number 88 alongside Justin Rott here with 13 laps to go. We're back underway.
Bauman gets the foot to the floor nice and early. He's able to take off. And now the chess match begins. AJ Green is now going to have to really try to press the issue a little bit, because it's the first time Mikey Neal has had much of a chance on him, as they're 3 wide, a couple of rows there right in front of the 8 truck. We'll see what he does, but it's go time right now.
Oh, and Michael Walls gets sideways there off the corner. You see them now starting to swerve to different lanes as AJ Green peaks for second for the time being. Mikey Neal almost into the top 10 already. As there's Sheen Damon Tova, a couple of other trucks who pitted for tires, trying to do something as Jurgensmeyer makes contact with Charlie Byer. There's Neal almost making contact off of turn 4 as Byers defending for spots. The battle for second continues as we're 3 wide here for 8th.
Battles all over the racetrack, and it's a gaggle of cars right in front of the 8 as these fresh tires are trying to move their way through. Michael Walls gets a nice run there out of turn number 2. Looks like he's going to weave through these guys. I believe he or Jonathan Jurgensmeyer maybe are the furthest up of those guys on fresh tires.
It would be both of them. Those Goat Inc. Motorsports drivers doing the best they can to make up positions here in the late going of this race to try and get tires. There's Jurgensmeyer now to the inside of Brandon Banks for the 4th spot. Michael Walls is not too far behind. Mikey Neal's broken into the top 10. So if this race stays green, it's going to look good for this 8 truck.
He's going to have a chance, and I'm thinking that 4 is going to be the magic number. I'm going to go on the assumption that the 75 is not accrued an X here. It's going to need to be 4 spots, I think. Rather to tie him in this case, it would be 5.
He nearly got into the back of the 78 off the corner, had to check up for him. But he is not giving up. He's Mikey Neal after a tough night there As you see 3 wide now further behind as well. Craig Lounslucker is another one of those drivers that did pit. He's trying to see if he can get into the playoffs as well, but needs trouble for both the 8 and the 75 to stand a chance in it. Otherwise, it's probably going to be playoffs opportunities over, as there's Jurgensmeyer now to the inside for second.
And Jurgensmeyer and Walls have navigated traffic perfectly on these fresh tires. They're going to get to the race lead. One of them will. It's almost a certainty with how fresh their tires are. And Walls steps to the inside, so he's going to try to battle it. AJ Green is feeling the pressure. He's got to make his way forward. It's almost 4 wide, with 3 of them being goading teammates there further back.
Nearly staggered 4 wide. Michael Walls lost a lot of ground. AJ Green sees the 8 truck making ground, has to go for the lead while he can. He'll be 3 wide for second. Jurg through the middle with the fresher tires, as there's Michael Walls and Mikey Neal pursuing.
Yeah, these fresher tires, you're going to see the difference between fresher tires and older tires right here. He's just so much quicker through the corner, easily able to pass the 75 using the top of the racetrack. He's going to get the 88 in turns 3 and 4.
And spinner in the back, Kyle Benson.
Spinners in the back straightaway.
Kyle Benson goes for the spin. Numerous other trucks getting involved. Jason Hastings. Oh, and Mikey Neal's in it.
Oh, no.
And he has towed it back to the pit lane, so that's going to most likely end his playoff run for the 8 truck.
Heartbreaking for the 8 to come up that short, and he really struggled getting through traffic. And we'll take a look at what happens here. We're following him in the middle of this pack. I mean, it's a lot of traffic he had to negotiate with. And almost a carbon copy of what happened earlier on in the race. And now he gets run over from the back by JJ Hill after the fact, and that's how he really got involved in it. But that's the desperation. I said it earlier on the incident with 6 truck as well. If you're Mikey Neal, you can't lift, you gotta hope that guys can withstand a little bit of contact as you're trying to hustle through the field. The laps are clicking down, and this is desperation right here. He has to go up the racetrack a little. There's a truck width there, but he doesn't hit the hole just right. And there's not much Kyle Benson can do once he got touched. This is what the playoffs mean to these drivers.
And he was trying to shoot that gap between those 2 trucks, and he had to readjust to the 78 who was sliding up on exit. The problem was he didn't lift, and that's what resulted in the contact. And JJ Hill tried to shoot the gap to the bottom without lifting, and that's how he gets into that left rear of Mikey Neal, ultimately forcing that 8 truck to tow, ending his playoff night. As a couple of trucks will bring it into the pit lane here with some damage. Justin Rott, one of those to pit here. He pits from a spot inside the top 5, probably realizing those tires that caught up to them have done their job, and they're trying to now be on the offensive here for what will be about 5 laps to go on this restart. And they're not going to lose nearly as much track position as most of the rest of the field did. So we'll see what the drivers that bring it down the lane here decide to do once and for all, as the race lead gets handed over to Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. The only 2 trucks remaining on the racetrack that had those old tires from previously are Nicholas Bauman and AJ Green in second and third. And you have to go all the way back to Brandon Banks, who just came off the lane, and a couple of other trucks actually, so he's not the first one out. It'll be Justin Rott in 9th. So it's not game over yet for Justin Rott. He'll have a little bit better track position than some of those other trucks who had to fight from, I would say it was about the 14th or 15th spot from the restart. And these guys will be on the edge of the top 10 when we get going here with 5 to go.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, do they have enough laps to get through that kind of traffic? Because remember, the tire differential is not as high this time around either. This is about, 5-10 lap differential, as opposed to being pretty, about middle deep into the tire around the first time by. So there'll certainly be an intriguing battle here looking at the strategy. And Auto Club's abrasive, right? Fresh tires are always going to be better than slightly worn tires, but I'm just not sure that the tires alone are going to be a guarantee over the course of 5 laps.
I think he could get there, Nate, because you consider that was about 7 or 8 laps that they were able to do perfectly fine under the green flag without the interruption of the caution flag, compared to interruptions that we had seen on the previous set of runs before that split strategy even happened. All the while, you get to the same spot where it's about 7 or so laps that they had on the green flag set of tires. Green flag laps ran on this tire, so I think the biggest thing for tires is it either goes green or they go green all the way until 2 laps to go. But if they get an immediate caution to bring out the caution flag, it is not exactly going to help their case.
Yeah, and again, at this point, if you're a guy like Justin Rott, the only thing of consequence is just adding another win to the tally, right? Regular season championship doesn't give you bonus points, but either way, it's essentially locked up here. You're not going to finish 17 spots worse than Michael Walls. The only guy that was close enough to him is Duncan Faw. He's, wrecked out of this race, so why not give it a go? And for the rest of these guys that pit with him, the playoffs aren't something of consequence. It's time to just, why not give it a try and go try to make the call that wins the race?
We'll see who goes aggressively to win the race with basically everything of the playoffs already decided. AJ Green can't quite hand it to Craig Lautenslager just yet. He has to make sure he's at least there with a decent spot at the checkered flag to prevent anything from costing him a shot at those playoffs. Pace truck heads to the safety of pit road for what could be the final time. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer will lead us back to the green flag from Nicholas Baumann, and a great launch there by the 00. He'll try to get away from the pack here with 5 laps to go.
That's one of those benefits of having slightly fresher tires. You get the power down a little easier.
And there's Michael Walls already peeking through the middle. Remember, Walls also on some fresher tires, and he's going to have a great run. He'll be 3 wide for the lead.
The same strategy as Jurgensmeyer, and he's able to split the deuce between the 88 and the 75, and now he gets right to the outside of the 00. He's guaranteed himself a couple wins pre-race this season. He wants to make good on that promise now.
He's going to try to hang it around the outside. Jurgensmeyer will leave just enough space to not run him up into the wall, but he is trying to do everything he can. Michael Walls will be aggressive in these final 5 laps to go for his first win of the season. Justin Rott is up to 7 with those tires. And we'll see what they're able to do as they're 4 wide for the 3rd spot.
Craig Parks down there. He's someone that's still got a fighter's chance at this playoff where this something's able to go wrong for the 75 truck. So don't count him out just yet. We'll see if the 75 is able to hang on to his spot, but that's another person we've really not talked about in this playoff battle.
And battle for the lead as it stands right now. Michael Walls peeking to the inside once again, but challenge uninvited towards him as there's Craig Parks now clearing for the 4th spot. Justin Rott will get up to 5th. As you see the train of trucks form up on his outside, it's not going to help him here, but on this corner, those tires should play to the benefit of the 76 machine to try and gain some more positions. And with 3 laps to go, he needs to clear off of this corner, and he does barely on Craig Parks. And so we'll see if Justin Rott, with these next 2.5 laps, can he run down the leaders here, approaching 2 laps to go with Walls and Jurgensmeyer battling.
All Goat Inc. in the top 3 right now, and there's the gambit right there. Is that the amount of space that Justin Rott can cover with 5 or so lap fresher tires in 2 laps? That's the question right there. And will the 2 leaders battling make that a little easier for the 76?
Rott has slightly better tires than your race leaders, but Michael Walls is not exactly letting Jurgensmeyer off the hook. He is ready to pounce, runs the high side. Rott is closing the gap even more. They're going to be nose to tail coming to the white flag as there's Walls with the run, peeks to the inside.
Justin Rott's going to have a great chance to just bide his time in this corner, watch these 2 battle, see if there's any kind of contact. Walls is going to wash up. Rott's going to have a really good run on the bottom of the racetrack. They're 3 wide for the lead, coming back to the white flag.
3 wide at the front of the field. No caution to wake this out. It'll be all the way there. You see Jurgensmeyer trying to poke the 76 all the way to the very inside. And Jurgensmeyer with the nose out in front. Rott trying to battle as much as he can. There's Walls with the run up top. Jurgensmeyer has to give him the lane, and there's the 76 clearing for the lead down the back straightaway. We'll see if the leaders have anything left. Michael Walls, Jurgensmeyer. Does anyone try anything into the final corner? It is still Justin Rott, and he gets turned. John Jurgensmeyer gets into the back of him, will spin him, and they'll be side by side off the final corner, dooring each other to the line. Who's it gonna be? Give it to Michael Walls.
Wow, and Charlie Beyer comes home in third. What a finish to that race.
An unbelievable result. Jurgensmeyer gives the bumper to the 76, spins him out in 3 and 4, trying to go for his second Auto Club win in the past 6 days. But it is 31 thousandths of a second short, and give it to Michael Walls for the first time this season going to victory lane.
What a battle between the 3 GOAT Inc. teammates. And Charlie Beyer comes home behind him in P3 after Rott ends up face first to the outside wall. Craig Parks with a valiant effort to try to get into the playoffs on the back end, but it wasn't enough. AJ Green was able to stay just within enough touch there. But how about it? Michael Walls finally gets that first win of the season.
And he'll celebrate on this front straightaway. The greater Memphis area native will celebrate here at a track he has visited in real life with you, Nate.
Oh, yeah.
And after saying so many times this season, oh yeah, it's going to be me that wins today. Yep, it's my turn today. I'm not sure if he said that today, Nate, but today was his day.
I didn't get a chance to ask him today, but he's certainly glad to have finally gotten this, and I think certainly glad to have battled with the people he battled for. Remember lap 1, he was involved in that accident. He was probably in this exact position at the start of the race, spinning on the front straightaway, and now he's doing it again, burning out right there on the start-finish line.
And he'll drive it right to the Auto Club victory lane that sits on the inside of the tri-oval. And he'll celebrate his first win of the season. Let's take a look back at that finish. That was an electric finish, Nate, that we had there between those 3 drivers. And they were being respectful, but at the same time, they were willing to go for it with one another. And it starts all the way back here with 2 laps to go with that run that Michael Walsh takes to the bottom.
I saw this run from Michael Walls, and right here I knew exactly what Justin Rott's thinking. He's thinking exactly that. The 7's going to wash up the track in front of the 00. I have the inside. I have the fresher tires. Here's my run. Here's my chance. I'm going to get to the bottom of 3 wide, and with fresher tires, I like my chances here. And he liked his chances for a reason. Even with Jurgensmeyer right there on his door, side drafting him into the corner, trying to take as much air off the truck as possible, those 4 fresh tires just allow the 76. Look at how much better he wraps the bottom. The 00 washes up into the 7 a little bit. Then Justin Rott is clear. His 3rd win is right in his sights. He just needs to get through 3 and 4 perfectly and needs to hope for no shenanigans from the back. And it was respectful until it wasn't. Jurgensmeyer sends it in, hits him square in the bumper, and here is carrying a little too much momentum up the racetrack. Michael Walls gets to the bottom, a couple of door slams, and there it is. By just about a fender, Michael Walls out in front of the 00 to get that first win of the season in the regular season finale. And like once again, how about Charlie Beyer sneaking his way up to 3rd? He was race control the first half of the year, and that's how close it was.
Less than a 1/10 of a second separated your top 3 at the start finish line. Unbelievable stuff there, Nate. This warrants an additional look, and let's take a look from Charlie Beyer. Look where he was running at the start of the white flag lap. Remember, he put on tires there at the same time that Rott did. Or actually, this was on the restart itself, so this is not on excuse me, this was not on the actual white flag. So we'll get the proper lap here up for the viewers, but it was an incredible move from him as here we are coming to the white flag. You see the 3 wide in front. He has Craig Parks in the 53 in front. Goes to the inside, and right here Beyer's thinking, okay, I'm racing for a top 5 spot. He sees 3 wide in front, and maybe a sliver from this thinking, okay, they all wreck, and I somehow am able to capture the win. But talk us through what would be going through your mind if you're watching all this in front of you.
Well, seeing those 2 get into each other on the exit of 2 right there, with Walls and Jurgensmeyer, that makes me think, hey, okay, I might actually have a chance to catch up to these guys racing for 3rd. And then as I come into here, I get really excited right about there. Sounds like, okay, I've got the fresher tires. It's go, 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 go. How hard can I be in the throttle? And at this point, there's really, here you might think about popping up to the outside, but he pulls in line. I think even if he were to go to the outside, probably not enough time for him to get there. If the start finish line was heading off toward turn 1, like we're at Talladega, potentially, but nonetheless, just a great job by Charlie Byer.
A great job to get up there and get up into the third spot by our friend here on the KBueno Racing Network. Fantastic stuff there from everybody, and as part of that finish, unfortunately, not the ideal outcome for Justin Rott, as he'll end up, I believe, winning the regular season championship, I believe, over Duncan Fall, since Fall had his fair share of troubles as well, so it was a close call there for both of them. We'll see the final points once they're dealt, but nonetheless, here are our final results here for tonight, our unofficial results here from the Auto Club Speedway. Michael Walls wins over Jonathan Jurgensmeyer by what I believe is the second closest finish on the season. I know Daytona finished under caution, Nate, but I think at the time of the caution, that gap was a lot smaller than the gap we have here. So if this was the checkered flag running, this would be our closest finish of the season so far. Jurgensmeyer finishes second here. Charlie Byer with a fantastic top three effort to come away from third. Craig Parks with his best result on the season to finish fourth. Brandon Banks rounds out our top five here. Great run here for the five truck. Alexander Schumacher, the pole sitter, recovers nicely there after his mid-race troubles to finish sixth. Nicholas Bauman finishes in seventh. Shane DiMantova captures the top 10 here from Auto Club with Jason Hastings in ninth and AJ Grain rounding out the top 10 and securing the final spot in our season one playoffs.
And Chris Fowler, he came home in 11th in front of Christopher Bishop. Ethan Fonseca Moreno didn't have a lot of time to rebound, but hey, he still rebounded pretty nicely into 13th. Chris Progar, who qualified really well, comes home 14th. Then it's Trevor Haley. Craig Lautenslager was one of those guys trying to sneak into the playoffs, perhaps. He finishes 16th. Michael Newbron and Duncan Faw, both involved in incidents, finished 17th and 18th. Then there's Justin Rott, who actually finishes a spot behind Duncan Faw, but still close enough to wrap up that regular season points title. And Kyle Benson finishes 20th a lap down.
21st will go to JJ Hill, who had a really good, strong run building there towards the end. Heartbreak for Mikey Neal, who came up 2 points shy at the start of tonight's race from the playoff spot and had an opportunity, but unfortunately caused that wreck late. And unfortunately, it's what undid his night for him. Tyler Murray will finish in the 23rd position. Keelan Belshaw will finish in 24th. And Eric Schaefer will be our final driver from this 25 truck field here from the Auto Club Speedway. And let's wait no further. Let's get an opportunity to talk with our race winner for the first time this season. And Micah, it was an up and down season for you. So many opportunities where you called your shot. And I have to just ask you, as a part of my series of questions here, was that still going through your mind as you were spinning here on the initial start of the green flag?
No, not at all. It's just I don't even know what to say, honestly. It's just crazy.
And tell us what it was like after having that happen to you there on that initial start and having to fight back through that, especially since we had a lot of long runs in the early part of the race. What was the difficult part in making back up the track position, and what was going through your mind there late in choosing what kind of strategy you wanted to run in order to go for this race win?
Yeah, after getting wrecked off the start, I knew that I'd probably be fast later on if I could get my damage fixed. And luckily, we got caution lap 20 or so, and we got right back in. And I knew the strategy all along. I mean, right there at the very end, tires, the tires right there at the very end were crucial to have. But yeah, I don't know. That was crazy.
And now, finally, after capturing your first win of this season, Micah, what does this do for you momentum-wise as we now shift our focus to the final five races of the season in terms of playoff racing? You have equal footing with the other 9 drivers you're competing for in this championship battle. When you look at the 5 tracks that we have, how do you think you fare as we enter the playoffs?
Yeah, the playoffs look really, really good for me. I'm gonna be really strong at all these tracks coming up, so it's really good momentum going into the playoffs, and hopefully we can propel to a championship.
And before we let you go for this evening, Micah, anybody you want to give a shout out to that helps make this happen for you and your 7 truck?
I got to shout out Jurg. Yeah, that's funny, and I got to shout out Bill.
Appreciate everything, Micah. Thank you for joining us every single week. Congratulations on your first win this season, and congratulations on making the playoffs and racing for a championship. We hope to see you in 2 weeks at Chicagoland.
Thank you.
That's Michael Walls, the race winner here tonight from the Auto Club Speedway. And you see it right there on the bottom of the statistic. His lowest was last place on the initial start of this race after spinning on lap 1. I think tonight was the ultimate spin it and win for Michael Walls, who's able to take away another win on the season. Let's go back another spot here to our runner-up from tonight's race. It is Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, and you're caught up with him, Nate.
Your congrats on a second place finish, and really for a lot of the race, you were outside of the top 10 before you were able to play a little bit of tire strategy. So if you could just take me through some of that decision making on how you were able to flip your race back on its head.
Oh yeah, I just I got damaged early in the race, so I went limped around the first run of the race, going very slow until I got a caution and fixed my damage, and yeah, then I got it fixed, and there's field games, there's a lot going on, but the moment that the caution came out where me and Micah pit, we took the gamble for tires, and I thought it'd work out if we didn't get a caution. I think me and Micah definitely would have finished 1-2 if there's no caution, but we had to deal with those guys getting on fresher tires, and me me and Micah were 1-2 for a while, and then Justin came on the tires, and on that last lap, um, I don't even know. I just thought I was close enough. I was definitely close enough to maybe nudge him a little bit, but I didn't even think like because there's a difference between like ramming him, like sort of like Austin Dillon did in real life, where you just go into the corner, you're just gonna ram into him, and I think I didn't I just went into like nudge him and get him a little offset so I'd have a chance to win the race, and it just hit him at a certain like angle or whatever, certain part of the bumper where it just completely got him sideways and he overcorrected into the wall. So yeah, it's not what I wanted to happen at all. Um, it sucks. I really shouldn't have even been up there anyway. I didn't really have the speed to be up there all race, but just got up there at the end and I went for the win and failed.
And that last battle with your two Godink teammates, I noticed that it looked like you were pushing tight on corner exit. Was that a side effect of being on those slightly older tires than what Justin had and just pushing a little hard?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just trying to get every bit of speed out of those tires at the end, and I knew I had to be able to compete against Justin, and he just got to our inside. Micah made a slide job move, and I knew right when Micah did that he'd just leave the door right open for Justin, and Justin got there. So yeah, it's sort of it sucks how it went down actually.
And then looking forward to the playoffs, of course, you made it. You were locked in before this race. Chicagoland, Iowa, Talladega, Phoenix, and Homestead. What's the outlook for you looking at those races as far as your championship odds are concerned?
Chicagoland, I'd say I have a pretty good chance. Iowa, I will have no chance. I will not be up front. I'll race. Talladega's Talladega. Homestead, I'm very bad at. Only in the truck. I'm good there in the next gen, the Xfinity car, but in the truck, I'm really bad. In Phoenix, I've never done Phoenix and the old Phoenix and the new truck. That's definitely going to be an interesting combination. So I think this round or the playoffs really line up for Micah to make a good charge, but I'll see what I could do. I mean, I've finished well at tracks I'm bad at before, so yeah, we'll just have to see.
Awesome. And before we let you go, is there anyone that you wanted to shout out for this race here tonight?
Shout out to Justin. Apologize for wrecking you. That was definitely yeah. I mean, I already said it all. Shout out to Micah for winning. He already won, or no, he didn't. This is his first win in this series, so it's about time since he's a truck merchant. It's about time that he won one of these races. Shout out to Duncan as well, and shout out to you guys up here.
Congratulations again, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, on a P2 finish and on the playoff berth. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
It's Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, your second place finisher at Auto Club Speedway after that little bit of controversial contact with his teammate.
Yeah, you hear him there talking about that incident, not feeling too enthusiastic about it, and the result of that indirectly was Justin Rott ended up losing the regular season championship to Michael Walls, who Rott was in position to win and would have been a huge gap, but at finishing exactly in the 18th or 19th spot as Rott did, and Walls making the pass on Jurgensmeyer, that was enough points in it for Michael Walls to end up swooping and stealing the regular season championship from both him and Duncan Falls. Both of them were almost outside the top 20 in tonight's race. So the outside chance was there for Michael Walls to steal that, even though there's no bonuses with it. At least he can call himself the regular season champion for season number 1. Let's drift back one more spot here. Talk with a good friend of the channel, Charlie Byer. And Charlie, I know that tonight was probably a race that you were trying to make on a very tight notice with the different things you were doing before the race, and let alone being here, having an opportunity talking with us in this top 3 finish. Talk us through what it was like going through that race and that late restart to get up in there into the 3rd spot.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. um, yeah, I mean, the race as a whole, I really just tried to focus on staying clean. I gotta be honest, I had no practice. I didn't even qualify for this race. I just kind of jumped in and used the first run to try to get a feel for things. And, I felt like I was able to save tires pretty well, as compared to my fellow competitors. So, um, yeah, and I was able to kind of inch my way up into the top 10. Got some pit stops through and was able to kind of maintain that. But on the preceding yellow flag, I really fell back outside of the top 10. I felt like I had gotten some damage and my race is over. So I ended up taking some tires, and that ultimately brought me to a 3rd place finish. I doubt I would have finished where I was without that opportunity. So yeah, I mean, I'll take it. It's, 3rd was definitely the highest I've run all night, so it was definitely a last gasp, and I'm just kind of glad to be able to put that together.
And I'm pretty sure, and I know this because I've thought it before to myself, that on that last lap, when you're seeing the 3 cars going 3 wide, making some contact on the final lap, at one point it crossed your mind thinking they might all make contact and I could swoop by. Was that going through your mind?
Yeah, I didn't think they were with shooting range with me until probably the final lap. I think Justin was on new tires, so I was trying to pay attention to him and follow his line to try to follow him through. So I think I was kind of the second car on fresh tires to kind of carve through the pack. I think Mr. Brandon Banks was behind me as well. We were just kind of rubbing the bottom and trying to get it there, trying to get up to the front in such little time. But yeah, when I crossed the white flag, I saw them 3 wide, and I'm like, dang, if they all wash up into into turn 1 here, I might have a shot. So I just kind of rested myself and ran my line. And once I saw that Justin Rott completely ate the wall in the final corner, um, there was a glimmer of hope, that's for sure. I definitely thought that if there was more contact after that, I think I would have had a shot. For sure, but I'm glad to have participated in such a close finish. And I think the biggest thing for me is putting together complete races, start to finish. I think over my iRacing career, that's always been the biggest struggle for me, is being able to put together entire races where I'm able to run well and finish well and not have to rely on any sort of external factors. So I think tonight was part of that, and I'm pretty happy with everything.
As we've transitioned into your UNC era here, if we will, Charlie, on your iRacing career, that spans nearly 6 or 7 years, not an intentional reference. That's genuinely the amount of years that you've been on the sim.
I know Nate. I know his ears perked up when you said that.
I purposely had to say a different number of laps earlier in the show so that I wouldn't make a reference, but it genuinely has been that long that you've been on the sim for now, Charlie. And as you've transitioned to now this portion of your career, it's like you mentioned, now you're mostly racing the sports car events, the special events that you do with a couple of our other friends here on the network, and you've kind of left stock car racing, I would say, behind to some extent. I'm sure these truck series has been a welcome back for you as you transition from race control back to a driver. What has been the best thing that you've been looking forward to when you race this series, and now that we get to have an additional 5 races before the season ends, what are things you're looking to try and aim for in these final 5 to kind of get back into that step that you were used to being in for so many years?
Yeah, I think the truck definitely makes it easier and a bit more fun. I think my best moments on iRacing in terms of league racing is definitely coming to truck. So I think just trying to settle back in and do as good as I can. I mean, I know that I'm probably on the higher end of ages when it comes to iRacing leagues now. I know I'm 21. I don't think I'm that old, Francisco. I don't think I need to be called Unk. But yeah, I think it's just trying to have fun with it. I definitely race a lot more road now, and definitely the special events. But coming back to the trucks and the oval side of things, where I definitely have had the most fun in iRacing. Just trying to do the best that I can, and once again, just trying to put together complete races from start to finish, not get too involved in anything, and be able to be happy with some performances. So that's really about it.
And before I let you go, Charlie, from this podium finish tonight from the Auto Club Speedway, anybody want to give a shout out to the host makes this happen for you and your whole 52 team?
Yeah, I mean, thanks to everyone around me for racing me pretty clean. KBueno Racing, who I've been involved with, and I was in a call with Keelan, Shane, and JJ tonight. We were all kind of running together, so that was pretty fun. Other than that, that's it. I'm running a trench truck, but 21 Pilots just released a new album, Breach. I think you guys should go listen to it. It's pretty good. And that's really about it. Thank you.
And you were at their show last week, weren't you?
I was. I went to 2 shows within 2 weeks, and yeah, that was my 7th. That was my 6th and 7th. Yep. Yes. I know. I know. Yeah, they actually were my 6th and 7th shows of theirs that I've been to. So yeah, it was great, and yeah, that's really about it.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing that on the Memento post here soon, Charlie. Once again, congratulations on your top 3 finish from tonight here at the Auto Club Speedway. Nate will have a field day with that 6-7 reference, but we appreciate it, and we hope to see you in these closing 5.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
That's Charlie Byron. Nate, you're having a field day with all this 6-7.
We might have 6 or 7 6-7 references on this broadcast
Ah,
tonight.
it's just unreal stuff. But onto a more serious note here, we'll slide back to talk to an additional driver, the driver that makes it in on that final points paying position, and it is AJ Green at the end of it all. And AJ, it was not an exactly easy. Mikey had the trouble early on, but that late call to go onto the tires, and not just him, but also Craig Parks whilst you stayed out there on those older tires. What was going through your mind as all these strategies were going on? What were you trying to do to make sure you had the best possible result that you could to try and clinch it in by on points, which ended up being 7?
Well, when I saw everybody pit for tires, I was like, well, that's not good, because it was a lot of people. And I knew that would play a factor in the near the end of the race. And then when it got to like the last restart, I was on the outside, which is not where you want to be. I was getting passed left and right, and I was just like, please don't more than like 9 people pass me. It's like I don't want to make it, um, and all that stuff. So I'm glad I made it by 7 points, but I feel like I definitely could have been out of the playoffs.
And now that you've gotten that spot, AJ, what are things that you're looking forward to doing as you're part of this 10-man group for the championship battle? Now that we take this off week, we head to Chicagoland to start the playoffs on October 27th. But looking at the greater scale of the 5 races we do have, how do you feel about your odds with this playoff run, considering the better momentum you've had over the last couple of weeks?
I feel good. I like the truck. I've always liked the truck. Um, it's been one of my better oval cars on iRacing, and I'm looking at the schedule, and to be honest, I like all those tracks. So hopefully I do well and place top 3. Hopefully win it. But we'll have to see.
And before we let you go, AJ, anybody want to give a shout out to the helps makes this happen for you, the 75 team in this run to be able to qualify for the playoffs?
Um, Shout out to Curtis. Shout out to Colin. Shout out to Lance. Shout out to y'all for in the booth. Kenneth put on the league, and it was a good battle with Craig Parks there at the end. That was fun, and then good battle with Ethan too. That was also fun.
We appreciate the time you take with us every week, AJ. Congratulations on qualifying for the playoffs for season number 1. We hope to see you in Chicagoland in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Yes, AJ Green, driver of the number 75 machine. Really happy about the playoffs. We don't have Craig Parks available, who was the first driver to miss out by those 7 points here, Nate. Unfortunate that he made such an incredible rally there over the last couple of laps, put himself in a really good spot with those tires that if a couple things maybe go his way, it could have been Craig Parks taking home that 10th spot.
Yeah, he really did. As we were having the 3 teammates battling out front, I had my eye looking to see how far back the 75 truck was dropping, because that was kind of where everything was going to go down, right? He's on the older tires, and there's only so many spots that Craig Parks could gain. but it's trying to see how far back he would go. Maybe if it was he going to get into any kind of trouble back in the Hornets' nest, because that would have been really a huge shakeup that probably just about as big as Michael Walls stealing the regular season title, which I I had said on the broadcast I had pretty much counted him out mathematically there, but lo and behold, Justin Rott finds the outside wall and Michael Walls finds victory lane, and there you go.
He might have taken it personally, is what Micah did too. And he said, "All right, Nate, you watch this," and somehow managed to come back from that spin to make it happen. But a great effort from him to do all that and still capture his first race win of the season. So many stories to wrap up here from Auto Club, but also look forward to in Chicagoland. We're done with regular season racing now. It's just 5 races. The top 10 in points will be equal going into Chicago. And I'll pull up the schedule here now so our viewers can follow us. Now it's about those 5 on the bottom right. Those 5 tracks is what it's all going to be about over the next month or so.
Yeah, and it's a really good variety of racetracks. I mentioned Chicagoland is similar-ish to Auto Club Speedway, but it's still a little bit different. Iowa, of course, a short track. Talladega, the granddaddy of them all, is going to be chaotic in every possible way. Phoenix, but more specifically, 2008 Phoenix with the grass still in the infield and the start-finish line on the front stretch, so no dogleg shenanigans there. And then wrapping it up at Homestead, Miami, just how it's supposed to be.
The Homestead Miami Speedway finale is definitely something that Kenneth and I both agree to. We're very excited that it will be hosting the real life championship weekend next year, and we are happy to bring it here on the sim. And these drivers are going to have plenty to do over those first 4 before they can think about any championship outcomes when we do show up at the Homestead Miami Speedway on December 1st. Incredible to think that we're already talking championship day. It feels like it was just yesterday. We were at the Daytona International Speedway 2 months ago. It doesn't really feel like it. That we were there at Daytona for our first show together and getting to see what the trucks were all about. And now we're here already wrapping up after 10 regular season races. And now it's time to go race for a championship.
Time flies when you're having fun, and it's been a blast up here in the booth for these races.
And I say likewise as well, Nate. It's been a real pleasure for myself to have you here alongside with me to talk through these races and give us a great show. But it wouldn't be possible with everybody that helps make this happen on the KBueno Racing Truck Series admin team. Everybody that helps make this happen from the broadcast end, Kenneth Bueno, Keelan Belsha, Charlie Byer, numerous other people that get involved with the league, including JJ Hill, Eli Comerford as well. So many people make this happen, and it wouldn't be possible without them. If you want to capture some more KBueno Racing Network action, be sure to join us this Thursday for SAC Cup Series action from the, I want to say it is not the finale, Nate. Is it the finale?
That Cup Series, they got a little ways to go still.
They got a couple of races left. I believe it's the second to last race of the season, followed by the finale. And then we just a couple of races to go, but we will be live on Thursday for the SAC Cup Series. Actually, you can join Kenneth Bueno and Nate Polite there for that show this Thursday. And 4 Wide is on their off week, so no 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series to cover this particular week. Be sure to join us next week at this, or not next week. We are also off next week, so not that much action actually. When you really think about it, it's second nature to me at this point now that we have so many things on this channel that it just went by me. But be sure to join us Thursday for SAC Cup Series action with Kenneth Bueno and and Nate Polite on that call. And the next time you'll see us or see anybody on the KBueno Racing Network will be the Wednesday following on October 22nd from the Kentucky Speedway for 4 Wide Racing TJ's Team Series action. And I do gotta tell you this, Nate, because SAC Cup Series, I know their races aren't that long, but you'll be on the show for that race. And if the show happens to get anywhere near midnight, I'm obligating you right now, and he'll know when he sees this back. I'm obligating you right now to wish Kenneth Bueno happy birthday at the end of that broadcast. His birthday was on Friday.
All right, yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, big shout out to Kenneth Bueno, of course, who wasn't here with us tonight, but so much he does for the channel, for iRacing in general. And it'll be his 24th birthday this upcoming Friday. And among him and others that make this all possible on the KBueno Racing Network, it's Charlie Byer, Keelan Belsha, JJ Hill, Eli Comerford, Nate Polite alongside with me in the booth. I am Francisco Bacayao saying so long, have a good night. Congratulations to Michael Walls on capturing his first win in his KBueno Racing Truck Series career, and congratulations to our 10 playoff drivers on qualifying their way in. And now at Chicagoland in 2 weeks, we get to race for a championship, and we can't wait to have you there. So long and see ya.